Hello guys, and welcome to another MK Mobile character review today featuring Kombat Cup Cassie Cage. As usual guys, please note the date when this video has been recorded because a lot of things may have changed since then, and if you're not familiar with the matrix I'm using in order to evaluate characters, you can find it on the top right corner of the screen. So without any further ado, let us put Kombat Cup Cassie to the test. Kombat Cup Cassie guys was released on the 12th of November 2021, and ever since then she cannot be obtained through souls. She doesn't have a pack. The only way you can get her if you don't pay is if you're extremely lucky in towers, or if you're extremely lucky because she can drop as a quest renown, or she can drop in the mystery pack. So all in all, you have to be extremely lucky if you want to obtain Cassie Cage, and this is the situation 6 months after her release. Anyways, let's take a look at her stats. Her attack is 45,360, which is the 29th highest in the game and the 6th highest in the Gold League. The hit points, they're 88,320, the 27th highest in MK Mobile and the 7th highest among all gold cards. The toughness is 41,580, the 24th highest in the game and the 4th highest in the Gold League. And the recovery is 43,470, the 24th highest in the game and the 3rd highest among all gold cards. The power generation is 110%. So for her stats, Kombat Cup Cassie is going to get 18.9 out of 28 possible points. Special one of Cassie Cage guys is called Glow Kick, and it sucks. It actually sucks hard. Here is why. First thing first, I'll be giving it some points for being unblockable because after all we have to take into consideration Cassie's passive. Unfortunately it doesn't have any buff or debuff whatsoever. It can be cast from distance but the first mini hit will miss. It is lethal, it consists of 2 mini hits and it has the horizontal or vertical swipe as mini game. Sadly, it won't really follow smooth both of a combo ender, so it's not really wise to do it immediately after combo ender. You have to set the stage first. When it comes to damage, the minimum damage of the ability is 19,908, which ranks the 42nd highest in the game and the 10th highest in the Gold League. The maximum damage is 39,817, the 38th highest in MK Mobile and the 10th highest in the Gold League. Once again, special one of Cassie can be unblockable if you play right with her passive. It doesn't have any buff or debuff. It can be cast from distance, however half the damage misses. It is lethal, it consists of 2 mini hits and it has the horizontal or vertical swipe as mini game. As you can expect, she gets the underwhelming 6.3 out of 13 possible points for her special 1. Okay, special 2 of Cassie is the bread and butter of this character. It is called Throw In, and here is what you need to know about it. First thing first, like her special 1, on paper it is not unblockable, but if you do it immediately after you tag her in, then it will be partially unblockable, so I'll be giving some points here. In addition, unfortunately again, it doesn't have any buff or debuff whatsoever. It can be cast from distance, even from long range it will connect. It is lethal, it consists of 4 mini hits and it has the filler as mini game. When it comes to damage, the minimum damage of the ability is 59,725, which is the 17th highest in the game, and attention, the highest among all gold cards. The maximum damage is 89,588, which ranks the 52nd highest in the game, and the 15th highest in the Gold League. Once again, special 2 of Cassie can be unblockable, it doesn't have any buff or debuff whatsoever, it can be cast from distance, it is lethal, it consists of 4 mini hits, and it has the filler as mini game. So for her special 2, Throw In, she's going to get 11.6 out of 19 possible points. Alright, let's talk about the X-ray of Kombat Cup Cassie. It is called Testicle, it looks awesome, I'm not going to lie, one of my favorite X-rays in MK Mobile. What you need to know about it is unfortunately it cannot be cast from distance, it will most probably fail, and it has power drain, like let's say Team Debuff, which is just okay. When it comes to damage, the damage of the X-ray is 125,423, which is the 40th highest in the game and the 5th highest among all gold cards. Once again, the X-Ray has Power Drain as debuff, and it cannot be cast from distance. So for her third special ability, Cassie is going to get 1.8 out of 4 possible points, and the total amount of points she gets for her special attacks adds up to the disappointing 19.6 out of 36 possible points. Alright, it is time to talk about the basic attacks of Kombat Cup Cassie, and they're quite weird, let's go it that way. For one thing, it is certain that she doesn't really require Block Breaker, because all you have to do with her is tag her in, then take advantage of the fact that for 20 seconds you have 50% unblockable basic attacks, and then you can just wreck the enemy using Special 2, and then tag her out, and then repeat. Basically, this is how you play Cassie. But in the rare cases that she does require to use her punches, it is a good thing that at least she pushes the enemy away after one of her combos, so in a way she can do kind of okay for the little time she requires from the tag in to tag out. So basically this is how you play her, right? You tag her in, you kill whoever is there, then you survive 4 or 5 seconds, then you tag her out. So her basics are serviceable so that she can stay alive for 4 or 5 seconds. Definitely do not play her with Block Breaker, guys. She's simply not a great fighter. So after all, at the end of the day, she deserves 7 out of 10 possible points for her basic attacks. Alright guys, in my opinion, the passive of Kombat Cup Cassie is horrible, but I'm going to explain to you why in a second. First thing first, let's read the passive. I quote, "On tag in, Kombat Cup Cassie Cage brands an active opponent as an outsider for 20 seconds. Any attack against the outsider is unblockable with 50% chance. This is applicable for both basic attacks and special attack mini hits. When an outsider tries to tag out, Cassie's drone deals 30% damage to their current health. The drone doesn't deal damage to bosses. All Kombat Cup characters on the team are immune to cripple." Now, where do we begin? I reckon it is easier to start with the last part of her passive, the cripple immunity. This is really cool, but it is extremely, and I mean extremely situational. Basically, the Kombat Cup team is good against any team that has classic Liu Kang. It is good against any team that has, for instance, Black Dragon Aaron Black, because he has cripple on special 1, or let's say Nightwolf's cripple on special 1. But cripple is not a debuff that is, let's say, here and there, everywhere in the game. Not many characters have it. So once again, in certain situations, immunity to cripple can be really useful. For instance, you might face a very annoying team with classic Liu Kang in towers, so if this is the case, then Cassie will be really helpful. But this is not the general case. In the general case, you won't even use it in, let's say, 80 or 90% of the battles, and that's unfortunate. Once again, good but situational. Alright guys, so let's talk about the first part of her passive, which in my opinion is horrible. Absolutely not mind-blowing. And I'm going to explain to you why. First thing first, it kind of breaks the synergy between Kombat Cup characters, at least for me. Because if you are facing difficult enemies in towers, I'm talking about towers at this point, in a lot of cases you want to use the passive of Sonya immediately. Basically this leaves only 2 characters on the battlefield. And once one of them dies, then you cannot use the drone anymore, because you have one character who is not red carded, currently fighting, who cannot tag out, and the other card is currently with a red card, so he cannot tag in, right? You cannot use the drone anymore. And this leads me to the next thought. Currently, guys, April 2022, almost nobody has this character High Fusion, because she's simply not available. If you're extremely lucky, you might have her Fusion 1 or Fusion 2. Basically, this means that you have to use her actively in difficult tower fights in order to take advantage of this drone doing critical, not critical, but current health damage, which is pretty useful. If you're fighting a character with 1 million health on tag out, he's going to lose 300k if he's full HP. That's pretty cool. Problem is that you have to use Cassie actively. So what happens if you tag in, do special 2 or whatever, but the enemy doesn't tag out and he wrecks you? What happens if he tags out, then the other guy tags in, and in the 1 or 2 seconds left that you need in order to tag out, he wrecks you. What happens, right? It is really risky to use that. I'd rather use Classic Raiden. Currently, Classic Raiden is easier to get compared to Kombat Cup Cassie. And Classic Raiden, unlike Cassie, can choose when to tag in, so you can choose when to remove 40% health. While in Cassie's case, you cannot control it. You only rely on the AI desire to tag out. But sometimes the AI is dumb. They just don't want to tag out. I've had so many cases when I was screaming like tag out, tag out, tag out, and they simply won't tag out for some weird reason. But this is the case. You don't really control it, and that's really unfortunate. But it is what it is. This is one of the reasons why I don't like this passive. And now let's talk about the second reason why I believe this passive sucks. And it lies in the fact that Special 2 of Cassie Cage deals insane amount of damage. Now imagine the situation. You tag in, you do your tagging attack, then unleash Special 2, which in 81% of the cases will kill your enemy, or it will leave him wounded at 5 to 10% HP, or it will trigger his Revenant in Factional Wars. And once he's that low, if he tags out, seriously, the whole thing does nothing. The whole thing with the drone does nothing. Because once again, it will only remove, let's say, 1000 to 2000 health from the enemy who is almost dead. So it is worthless. The only thing good about the first part of Cassie's passive is that basically you're guaranteed to land Special 2, so you don't require Block Breaker. However, even with that said, I had situations when I tag in, the enemy is branded as an outsider, I do Special 2, and the enemy blocks it all. So even there, this passive is not really great. Also, I wouldn't complain that much about this passive if they at least made sure that she was applying this if you use her as a starter. But she doesn't. She only does it on tag in. I tested it. I put Cassie as my starter and she didn't apply the outsider debuff. Which is unfortunate, because if this was the case, you can tag her out immediately and then some other character can take advantage of the 20 seconds unblockable attack duration. Basically, that would be cool. Unfortunately, she cannot do that. And one more thing that I need to tell, this is, by the way, a positive remark. You can use her tagging attack in order to kill an enemy who is really low. But if you want to do that, please be prepared that the next enemy will tag in and you won't have any unblockable chance against him. But at least, if I have to be fair, another positive of her tagging attack is the fact that you generate some power in the process, and that's always a useful thing. So I'm sorry guys, but I'll be giving this passive only 14 points. I truly believe that's one of the worst passives I've ever seen when it comes to challenge gold characters. Also, Cassie is just a Spec Ops character, so she gets 1 point for classes and 2 points for tagging attack. Alright guys, it is time to decide whether Kombat Cup Cassie is a good character, so as usual, let's take a look at the bigger picture. She has good stats for a gold character, but that's it. Her special 1 sucks, her special 2 doesn't have any buff or debuff whatsoever. However, at least her special 2 is pretty destructive, the damage is very high. Her passive is disappointing in my opinion, and her basic attacks are average, nothing special there. So the best way I can describe Cassie in one word is strange. She looks strange, she feels strange to use. Basically the only thing that comes to me as the best way to use Cassie is, once again, just to tag her in, do special 2 and then tag her out. That's it. She cannot be used as a fighter. If you use her as a fighter, this basically means that you won't have any passive until the end of the fight, unless for the first 20 seconds against one enemy. Once this enemy tags out, if you can do that, then you won't have any passive until the rest of the fight if you don't tag her out. So yeah, a really weird character. In my opinion, it breaks the synergy between the Kombat Cup characters, and if you want a better support or a better third member than Kombat Cup Cassie, the answer is Covert Ops Cassie. In 100% of the cases, okay, let's don't go that far. Let's say in 85% of the cases, she's going to be a better fit for the Kombat Cup team compared to this Cassie. So with this explanation, guys, I'll be giving Kombat Cup Cassie 0 points. I absolutely dislike this character. Please, if you happen to be a Kombat Cup Cassie main, and if you find a way to make her extremely useful, please let me know in the comment section. I will test it out, and if this is the case, then I'll just say, okay, I was wrong, she's actually useful because this and that. But until then, I'm sorry, 0 points from me. Probably the reason they created her is because Kombat Cup team already has a good fighter, Kombat Cup team already has a good support, so it was a time to bring a new assassin because that's the only role I can fit her in as an assassin. But once again, she simply isn't good enough, and that's the best way I can describe it. And with my total lack of subjective points, she's going to score 62.6, and we can label her as a good character. On our current standings, she's just above Vengeful Shinnok and just below Pharaoh Ermac. So the final verdict for Kombat Cup Cassie is going to be a good character. Now let's take a look at your final verdict. Okay guys, it is time to see what do you think about Kombat Cup Cassie Cage. As usual, if you want to vote in the next review, please follow the link that you are currently seeing. Also, there is an alternative link in the description of this video, thus you can join our Discord server and vote for the coming reviews. With that said, 231 of you voted for the average score of 7.00. The most common grade, as you can guess, is 7. 101 of you voted with a 7 and only 2 of you voted with a 2. So, in other words, according to you, Kombat Cup Cassie is a great character. According to the Matrix, she's just a good character. If I have to be honest, I tend to agree with you, even though I don't consider her as a great character. Definitely her special 2 is a killer, and her passive, it doesn't matter how bad it is, can be utilized by almost any character. So I reckon she's somewhere between 6.5 and 7 out of 10, but definitely I wouldn't say that she's great. She has a lot of flaws, and once again I'm really disappointed with her passive and the way you have to play her. It simply, in my opinion, doesn't fit the Kombat Cup team. Anyways, on your current rankings, Kombat Cup Cassie is 17th, just below MK11 Fujin and just above Demolition Sonya, and according to you she's better than Ronin Takeda, Ronin Kitana. I will strongly disagree with Ronin Kitana, but it is what it is. So the final verdict, according to you, is Kombat Cup Cassie is a great character. Unless you are trolling, guys, you should never use Kombat Cup Cassie as your starter. For one thing, her special one sucks. She doesn't really apply the outsider debuff in the beginning of the game. She has to be tagged in to do so. So all in all, there is no reason to use her as your starter, especially in a Kombat Cup team. With that said, she is probably the best counter to Classic Liu Kang, because for the obvious reason that Classic Liu Kang team cannot cripple you, and that's always useful. Unfortunately, she doesn't really excel against characters such as Assassin Jade and Relentless Jason because they can evade her special too, and that's really unfortunate for Cassie. When it comes to the equipment, guys, I never use Kombat Cup Cassie with block breaking gear. Reason being, once again, I play her like this. I tag her in, I do 2 or 3 basic attacks, I get to special 2, then I do special 2, then I tag her out. If you want to play her like this, you don't require block breaker, just give her Bloody Tomahawk or Rat Hammer, any type of equipment in the sense of she needs something for health and some kind of equipment that increases her power generation. This is all her requires. Usually Soul Medallion will be a good choice. And when it comes to the teams, guys, quite honestly, she needs to be either in a Kombat Cup team or in a not a Strike Force team, but a Spec Ops team that can boost her damage. For instance, you can team her up with Demolition Sonya, that would be always good. You can team her up with Balance Kenshi, or you can team her up with Classic Goro. Reason being, Classic Goro has the lowest tag out speed in the game. What I mean is that you tag him in, and in 3 seconds or 4 seconds he's ready to be tagged out, so you can keep the loop. You tag in Cassie with a special 2, then you tag in Goro, and in 3 seconds you're ready again to tag in Cassie. So all in all, these are the best teams for this character. Alright guys, Kombat Cup Cassie, what do you think of her? Do you like her? Do you dislike her? Please let me know in the comments. Once again, she scored 62.6 and we labeled her as a good character. As usual guys, if you want to see more reviews, you can find the playlist on the top right corner of the screen. See you next time guys, take care.
Game over.
Perfect.